can. Give the person a chance. What I like to say is to assume, to go into the situation, whether it's my awful boring convocation meetings that I have to go to, whatever it is, assume that there is value in what the speaker is saying. And that's how writing down those three things helps me. It helps me do this. I'm going to go into that situation, even though I've got a pretty good idea it's going to be boring. I'm going in assuming that I'm going to get something out of it. That there's something that this guy is going to say that's going to help me. There's something that she's got in her notes that I'm going to benefit from, and I'm going to find it. I'm going to find three things that are going to be helpful to me. Assume that there's value in what the speaker is saying. And let me tell you something, it doesn't matter if that speaker is a custodian, it doesn't matter if that speaker is a bartender, it doesn't matter if that speaker is a secretary, it doesn't matter if that speaker is a math teacher. Assume that there's value in what they're saying. And I emphasize that because so many of the great truths that I've learned in my life have come from unexpected sources, from people you wouldn't expect to have an insight from secretaries and from custodians and from way too many bartenders. I've gleaned something, I've learned something from them. Always assume that there's value in what the speaker is saying. Be respectful. 7, 8, and 9 on this list, 7, 8, 9 are very important vocabulary terms. They're going to show up a couple of different times on the test. Don't get them mixed up. Be able to define 7, 8, 9, be able to define them and tell them apart. Number 7 is called leveling. Leveling. A good key word to help you remember leveling is editing. Editing. Leveling, we do this all the time. It happens a lot with gossip. Gossiping and hearsay, spreading stuff around. Leveling is when you edit the message. You shorten the message. And it's typically done so that you can pass it on easier, so that you can tell somebody else the story. That's leveling. You shorten it. You edit the message. You leave parts out, typically so you can pass it on. Happens a lot with gossiping and hearsay, secondhand information. It's leveling. You shorten it so you can pass it on. Ever play the game telephone when you were a kid and you get in a big circle and you whisper and it's a big long message at the start and it goes all the way around the circle, and at the end the message is never or very rarely even close to what it started out as? That's leveling. Leveling takes place when you play that game. Telephone. Don't confuse leveling with sharpening. Sharpening, a good key word would be highlighting or emphasizing just a part of the message. Highlighting or emphasizing a part of the message. And your kids are really good at sharpening, I'm sure. You can give them a half-hour-long lecture and they just hear one little part of it. Yes, you can go spend the night at your friend's house, but before you do that, you've already lost them. They heard that first part and they're gone. That's sharpening, where they focus on just one part of the message. In college, they emphasized to me as a speech teacher, wanting to be a speech teacher and training to be a speech teacher, not to say in conclusion in your speeches. Once you say in conclusion and they hear that, you've lost the audience. they're done, the speech is over with. They only focus on that one little part. Now, people are really good about doing this in speeches. Again, we get back to the friend or foe factor. If someone they don't like, they don't agree with is giving a speech, they'll zero in. Well, a lot of times they'll say they took it completely out of context. They zero in on one part of that message. The sound bites that the news services use would be sharpening, where they just pluck part of the message out and focus just on that part of it. That's sharpening. It's highlighting or emphasizing. Number 9 is called assimilation. Assimilation. Any Star Trek fans in here? Watch Star Trek. In Star Trek The Next Generation, they fight the Borg. And the Borg are like half robot, half mechanical, and half biological, human or alien or whatever. And when the Borg attack a starship or a space station, they always say the same thing. Remember what it is? Resistance is futile, surrender, and be assimilated. Has nothing to do with this. Actually, it kind of does. Assimilation, what we're doing just like the Borg. When we assimilate a message, we bend and we twist and we turn and rearrange that message so that it becomes what we want it to be, so that it says what we want it to say. Assimilation is interpreting a message so that it works for us. Interpreting a message. You bend it, twist it, and turn it, and rearrange it so that it says what you want.